Hey guys, my name is JessiMew, and welcome back to Adam's Quest. In the last episode, just as our two bluebird families reunited, a bearyena came out to startle poor little Rosemary, probably sensing that she looks so much like a bearyena herself, with her bearyena claw, her dark brown fur. Maybe she was just coming by to see if she was her long-lost baby, but unfortunately for this bearyena, she is not going to be met with a friendly tribe. We are going to rush in to protect poor little Rosemary. She actually doesn't have very much confidence in herself, so I feel like she will need a bit of backup. Not to mention, her attack strength is only 3, so she won't be able to take on the bearyena alone. Thankfully, Sunbeam had just hopped his way down the stream. He literally slid down this waterfall, and he seems to be okay so far. I think he should be fine to rush out into the tide pools. And of course, as soon as he hears her yelling, he's going to be on high alert. He has a family to protect, and perhaps more importantly, a bluebird feather. So that's going to be the first thing on his mind. But as soon as he sees Rosemary, he might shift his course. He's just going to be worried about keeping her safe. I think he'll be fine right there. He'll be close enough to see her land in her few attacks, but she's going to have to use her last turn to skitter to the other side of the shore. Now, we don't really want the bearyena losing track of her, because we don't need her turning around and hitting somebody else instead. So as long as Rosemary doesn't run too far, and I mean that is asking quite a bit of a creature with a lean body, they are often very, very wiry, we should be okay. We'll bring her right over here so she's closer to Lychee, and then I suppose Sunbeam could probably hop in between them. Yeah, if we set him up right here, then he should be able to make sure that the ladies are safe. A night till the very end. I don't think the bearyena is going to go after him, because it can probably see that it wouldn't be too tasty of a meal. In fact, all of our toxic-bodied creatures are probably going to be just fine. So it's creatures like Catmint, creatures like Nutanu, maybe even a Rye too, that we'll want to be concerned with. You know, she was actually hoping that she would be the one to take down a bearyena, but considering her lack of strength, she'd probably be better off just picking up the coconuts. She knows that she's not as young as she used to be. She has to be careful about what sorts of battles she picks, but at the very least, she can make sure that she gathers tons and tons of food for the rest of the tribe. Oh no, it looks like you didn't knock down any coconuts that time. Oh, that's unfortunate, Rye. I guess if you scoot back here instead, hopefully you can pick up that last coconut. Yeah, that's why I tend to prefer to leave them under the coconut tree, but it's always such a risk, because we don't know if the coconuts are going to fall on their head afterwards. So all of those skirmish sounds are sure to alert our bluebird leaders too. Ballad in particular, I'm sure, would lunge into the water as well, because he would want to make sure that his brother is okay. That was one thing his mother always said they had to respect. They always have to stick together. Family is more important than anything else in their side of the family. So let's have him scoot down the stream as well. Oh my gosh, with the bearyena looming in the distance. You should be okay though, don't worry, Ballad. And Nutanu, not to be outdone, could probably skitter around the side of the trees. We'll bring him over here. That way he is right in front of his sister, protecting her as always with those big ram horns. He'll make sure that nothing gets too close. We might as well try to pick up one of those coconuts too with his last turn. The way they both lunged into action so quickly, I'm sure they're both admiring each other's sense of duty right now, but neither of them wants to be outdone. Both of them want to prove that their side of the family is superior. It's just that lingering part of the feud that's bringing out this side of them. They're still not quite sure what to think about each other's families, so I guess this is going to be the deciding factor. Now it looks like Anna is all grown up. We can give her a last gem, but she is going to be staying right here. I can't see her lunging into the fray. She would prefer to just pick these berries. I bet you're happy now that you settled down in such a remote location. Otherwise that could have been you right in the middle of the skirmish. Catmint, of course, has to follow after her leader too. She has to make sure that Nutanu is going to be okay. And in fact, if we set her down right here, she could actually purr for all of these grand warriors. So hopefully if they do decide to jump into those tide pools, if they need a little bit of extra help, they'll be able to rest easy, knowing that they won't get too injured. Oh, a new Duke here. I know that he's going to want a piece of this action. Somebody's going to have to hold him back if they don't want him lunging right up to the bearyena, just like staring him down face to face. I guess that could probably be Clementine's job. Maybe she would be the one to yank the baby back. So as he grabs a fistful of flowers, maybe to use them as a distraction or something, she'll just yank him quietly back and go back to picking up her coconuts. Feed him with coconuts to hopefully appease him for now. I guess we'll bring her over here to knock down some more, and then it'll be Rosethorn's job to pick up the rest. Oh, but she is probably just so worried. I could definitely see Chorus being the one to spread the word. He could jump out here yelling the whole way down, but Rosethorn, who was so concerned with the coconuts, would probably have already spent all of her energy picking up the food. So she's not going to be able to come to her daughter's rescue, and she'll just have to watch from behind the swamp thorns. I'm sure that's eating her up inside. But Monkshood is feeling much, much better. Now that everybody is leaving his precious berries alone, he can finally pick them in peace. I think we also have another berry bush back here somewhere that I'm sure that Chorus could pick from too. So let's bring him around this way, especially because poor little Clementine might not be having the best night. Unfortunately, in her haste, Rosethorn did pick up the wrong coconut, so let's cross our fingers that our healer's going to be okay. She might have to pick up the pieces after all if catmint isn't enough. She could probably learn a thing or two about healing from our more experienced member of the tribe as well. So we're just down to the last few coconuts on this side of the island too. We'll pick up that one with Percy, then have Koish jump in and knock down a couple more. There we go, one extra for your belly. I wonder if he's close enough to notice the skirmish as well. I feel like they're a bit more secluded out here, and for that matter, Koish would not be getting into any battles herself, so I can't imagine that they would go investigating. And then of course, Mulberry, like talk about seclusion. They even have the bluebirds circling over their heads now. Well, that's interesting. I wonder if this bluebird is trying to get somebody's attention, or if they're just trying to convince Mulberry to move on. He's been stuck in his ways here, picking up those coconuts, picking up the algae in the water, and of course trying his best to pick up fish too. He doesn't want to leave this place, because it reminds him too much of his fallen mate. And of course his sick son is here. You know, he might actually be passing away today. Well, that is going to be very, very hard for Mulberry too. Maybe that's why the bluebird came around. If the bluebird is truly our ancestors, it's just trying to tell Mulberry that he's not alone. But I can't imagine that our grumpy little kitty is going to listen. Well, can you find just one more coconut to give to your father? No, I think you guys may have picked this area clean. There's only some little worms down there. Oh, Guava. Maybe he would slink quietly off into the grasses. He probably doesn't want his father to know that he's feeling so sick right now, so he's going to try to be as quiet as possible. And now it's just down to Lychee. Oh, you poor thing. I almost feel like Animeme purposely sent this bearyena just to thwart Vankir's plans. It seems awfully suspicious that just as we were bringing Rosemary over here to learn about this grand mission from Vankir, that's when Animeme decided to send her challenge. We could have her try to slink around the tide pools, try to get a little bit closer to that root that we found before, way over here, the one that always seems to respond for our digging paws. But I'm not sure if she's going to have enough energy, but with that really deep water, and she probably feels like some of this is her fault anyways. So even though she won't do much in the battle, we'll have her stay here for backup anyway. We'll bring her over here to clear out a little bit more of the grass, just in case our creatures need to make a quick escape to the other side of the shore. That should be the end of our turn. We're leaving little Monk right there next to his berry bushes after all. He is not going anywhere. He's not even going to let that bearyena get to them. Oh my goodness, Passion. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot about you. Way down in the water with all of your water-breathing plants. Thank goodness we noticed. She unfortunately ran out of air. It might be time for you to resurface, especially because I'm sure you're going to be very, very interested in this battle. So let's go ahead and skip the day. Let's cross our fingers that the bearyena is going to go after Rosemary again. Yep, falling straight into our trap. Look at this. We could have Sunbeam attack him from behind. I wonder if he would try to convince Rosemary to land the final blow, though. We'll have him attack once, and then with 1 day remaining on the bearyena, I mean, it is so weak. He would probably tell her to land in her attack, because he's noticed that she is a little bit timid, and he can't understand why a creature with such a strong bearyena claw would be so afraid to show her strength. Sunbeam is used to not really taking the glory, because it had all been shoved right on his brother with its stripes. So I feel like this is a moment where he would let her shine instead. You did it, Rosemary. You took down that bearyena all by yourself. Why don't you go ahead and pick up all of that meat? And maybe this will help instill a little bit of extra confidence in her now too. She knows that even if the predators do come after their tribe, she's going to be able to keep everybody safe. So it's a good thing that Sunbeam was around to help her. And it looks like everything else is quiet out here again too. Alright, so we have appeased Enemy, at least for now. And that means that Lychee can finally offer up her mission to Rosemary. They're probably very, very curious about this purple kitty. Did Sunbeam know her? Oh. I think Lychee was around to see the birth of Sunbeam. So I'm not sure if Sunbeam would really remember her, because he was super young. But I'm almost positive that she was right next to the nest at the time. So I mean, look how much he has grown, Lychee. You must be pretty shocked too. You never would have imagined that those creatures would come and save your life someday. So as a way to repay them, you can give them Vankir's message that as long as they continue down the correct path, they are going to have plenty of food to eat. She found one of those normal berry bushes back here by the trees, with sunshine of course, and she knows it has to be a good sign. We are going to have tons of food to eat in the jungle. Now Passion may have unfortunately missed the battle, and I'm sure she would have liked to get her paws dirty too, but she can resurface just in time to catch somebody else's eye. I mean, can you imagine what our little bluebird brothers are going to think? What our little frogs are going to think when they see her? With her orange fur and her stripes, her poison fangs even. She is like the embodiment of Adam. She is the perfect creature. And Ballad must be quite smitten. He was distracted by the battle before, but as he turns back to look at the rest of these strange creatures, there's only one that's going to draw his eye. I think he would even risk hopping into the deepest water just to come up to meet her, taking drowning damage and everything. You have it bad, Ballad. Well, good thing Catmint was so close by, because I'm sure she would have noticed. She's probably particularly perceptive to things like that, to creatures getting injured. So let's quietly bring her over here too, so she can purr for the other half of the bluebird feathers. She's probably thinking that he is quite foolish. But honestly, can she blame him? She is pretty smitten with somebody in this tribe too. I suppose we could bring New Tanu over to the ports as well. I mean, at this point, I think we're just about ready to leave, right? We just have to bring our creatures over to the ports and everybody's over here already? Except for Mulberry. Did your son pass? Oh, you poor thing, you're all alone now. It's his very final day. This is definitely where Mulberry's misfortune is going to be born. His curse with the swamp bugs. This is why they're going to seek out our tribe mates, to whisper those thoughts of negativity into their minds, to make them think that they're just as alone as poor little Mulberry, until they don't even have the will to go on anymore. I'm really glad that we haven't seen the bugs in such a long time, but that's probably not going to last. Something tells me that they're going to come charging out of the swamps as soon as Mulberry passes, so we better hurry up and get out of here. Let's start bringing Lychee over to the other side. Now, what would be the fastest way for her to get around? I feel like probably on the dry land. We could have Sunbeam maybe light up her way. I'm sure he wouldn't mind. And Rosemary's going to have no trouble lunging in front of him. They're bonding pretty well together, aren't they? Rosemary in her knight in shining armor, literally with that bright golden fur of his. Do you think she might be a little bit smitten too? Maybe we could consider having a baby between them, a baby for her to take to the next island, because I would like Rosemary to move on too. She has plenty of life left on her lifespan, she's full of confidence now. She probably thinks that she could take on the world. Oh, and of course, new Duke here. I mean, he's pretty offended that he was made to stay behind, so he is going to take that fistful of flowers and settle down on those ports. He is going with them whether they like it or not. It's probably about time that Clementine went over to the warriors to make sure that they're okay, to see if there's any pieces for her to pick up. She'd probably call out for her sister Passion too. Passion, would you mind helping me out? But of course she is long gone. She's way over here with the other Bluebird leader, making friends it seems. I feel like Clementine is probably just so jealous of her younger sister. She strikes me as somebody who's a bit more quiet and maybe awkward around people. And then she looks over at her sister and she is just the social butterfly, soaking up all the attention from some of the most important tribe mates. Clementine just isn't sure how she does it. Oh, and I gave our poor little baby over here the wrong gems, didn't I? Sorry, Monkshood. You always seem to get the short end of the stick. But Rosethorn should be quite happy to see that her daughter is just fine now. She did a wonderful job protecting herself, so we might as well have her just scoop up the coconuts if we can. Actually, Chorus, maybe you could help us out this time? Maybe you could take a nice big swipe with that digging paw of yours, so Rosethorn doesn't have to waste any of her turns. Now that everything is safe and sound, maybe he's even starting to wonder about some of the creatures they left behind. He knows that Anna was so timid and quiet. He remembers seeing her up here by the stream, with her beautiful blue fur. The fur that kind of reminded him of his mother in a way. So I wonder if he would go back just to see if she's doing all right, just to make sure that she didn't get taken down by any bearyenas in the darkness. Now, Rye, I think it's about time for you to send your brother off with some of the last coconuts too. As much as I'm sure she wishes that she could go to the jungle too, as much as she would love the adventure, she's so close to the end of her lifespan. She knows it would be much wiser to send one of her children, and she knows that New Tanu is going to take very, very good care of them. So let's bring New Tanu to the ports. Oh, we actually have a pesky little leech coming up to attack Catmint. Look at you playing knight too, New Tanu. Were you inspired by Sunbeam? I guess these two families have a bit to learn from each other after all. Well, Catmint should be just fine now. We can bring New Tanu to the front of the pack, and then hopefully we can bring Catmint up there on the next turn. And that koi fish just went flying into the tide pools. Oh, I wonder if Sunbeam is going to try to get his hands on that. Those big claw of his should make it pretty easy for him to scoop up fish. But I think we're just down to the last of our food collecting now. Persimmon with his coconuts, Kois with hers. Do we have any more in the branches? Just the one, I'm afraid. Well, I'm not surprised. These two have been picking from this coconut tree for a very, very long time now. Eventually it's bound to run out of coconuts, and Mulberry would know that best. So I think we should be ready to skip the turn again. We just have a Rye. I guess she could come down here too, just to offer up one more of those delicious coconuts. And now we should be ready to skip the day. Perhaps our very final day on this island, if all goes well. Any more dangers, though? Really, Animeum? Really, you're gonna do this to us again? Oh my gosh, another bearyena. She always seems to send these challenges right as we're about to leave. And you have locked eyes with our poor little Rosemary again. Well, lucky for us, she is not to be deterred this time. She has a wonderful knight by her side, who can probably do most of the hard work, to be honest. Yeah, there we go. That should still leave her with plenty of turns to head off to those ports. After we breed them, of course. I feel like that extra bearyena would probably cement the idea in his mind that he needs to stay here too. There's so many other creatures who are going to be staying behind as well. It would be in his best interest now just to protect them. He is a knight, as we said before. So it's just in his blood, and he doesn't want to risk leaving the rest of his tribe mates here without anybody to keep them safe. So though these two have only just grown closer, they're already being forced apart. It's only the knowledge that she's taking this little part of him with her that's helping her make this decision. Part of it is probably his wishes too. He doesn't want her to waste the rest of her life in the swamp, so let's cross our fingers that the fertility won't get in the way, and hopefully we'll be able to bring her over to those ports. Alright, it looks like she gets to spend just one more day by his side. Assuming that no more berryenas get involved at least. Somebody did pick up a leech though, so let's just make sure. Oh, poor little Percy. We can bring Koi over here to pick that off of you, so you won't take any damage. It's his final day after all. He definitely deserves a bit of a break. We'll bring him over here to pick up the very last of the coconuts. And then maybe, sensing that everybody else is about to leave, he would gently urge her to make her way down the shore. As scared as she would be, she wouldn't want to leave without saying goodbye, so she knows it has to be done. Now, of course, can make his way past the gatekeeper over here. He should be able to tattle his way up to Anna, just to make sure that she's still doing okay up here. He was worried about you, you know. Such a lovely creature shouldn't be out here all by herself. He could probably keep her happy with all of his frog songs too. They are from the family that enjoyed their music, so I'm sure he would have plenty to share. I wonder if that's something that Ballad would even hear from the distance. He's going to have a decision to make after all. Both of his brothers seem as if they would prefer to stay in the swamps. And his mother did say that they all need to stick together. But it's not as if he can really deny their wishes, right? It's not as if they have enough room to spare. So he's going to have to accept that his family will be straying, and hope that that lost tradition won't be enough to curse his family once more. So with over 100 pieces of food in our pockets, let's once again skip the day one last time. No more berryenas this time, thank you very much. We are getting out of here. So with one final goodbye to her mate, we'll bring Rosemary over behind Catmint, I guess? That's a pretty good spot for her. We have our two bluebird leaders right at the front, ready to lead the tribe onto their next great adventure. And I think we'll probably do that in the next episode. That'll give us plenty more time to explore this brand new jungle that we're about to go to, and hopefully see what the next step in our journey is going to be. I'd say that this tribe has done a wonderful job conquering all of their trials, so please be kind to us, JessiMew. Let Vankir work his blessings and shower us with a future of good fortune. But for now, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye guys!